In this video, we're just going to take a look at how to create a section view for our green roof. And with that, we're just going to move to our level 2 framing level. And one thing that I'm going to kind of note on these section views, this will be a very short video on section views since we've done a lot of these already, but I'm going to go ahead and run a section view all the way through this line. So this is where I kind of started. So when I ran the section view, used the section option, and I go ahead and drew through like so, and then when I right click and say go to view, here would be my section view that I see. So one thing is I'm going to change the scale over to 1/2 inch equals a foot. For our green roof, that's going to work pretty well. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust our crop region to where we're only going to see the elements that we need to see. So I do want to keep the structural framing in there, the structural steel beam, change the detail level to fine, and then depending upon your, again, we're really focusing on the green roof. We can keep part of the wall in here for our section view, but our main part is to go through and have the roof that's kind of being highlighted. The green roof level line, I'm going to move the label over here by checking this box, unchecking it on this side, so that way I like to have them all on the same level. And the other thing too is we may need to make some adjustments with the elbows, so then that way we can go through and have those being shown. So we can see each one of these levels very clearly, read them very easily, and it's going to be able to be seen. So in a lot of cases I like to shade, and especially with this I think it makes it a little bit more interesting to shade this view. And same thing on our wall section, I'm going to hide the crop region. But really all it comes down to is now we're going to look at what are the elements of our green roof. We're going to utilize the text command, and we're going to use the 2-segment leader lines and go through and start labeling what are the parts of our green roof. So like here we could go through with 30 seconds aerial text. We'll put in 3-inch grass, and then we'll start adding in, like rather here they call this, rather than earth, they call this, you know, the growing media, and they go from there. So that's really what it comes down to. You may have to make some adjustments. I like to especially this right here, I like to kind of drag this column line to that way it snaps to that point, and then kind of bring it down a little closer as well. But this is going to be kind of the steps there. So I've already done another section view like this to be able to show you what it looks like. So, and here's what I kind of did to separate out the levels if needed. And you can tell in the last section view, I kind of drug these lines out a little bit more. That way they're not inside of the view. You can read them clearly. You can see the lines. So I could do that by just selecting the level, and then there's a little blue dot that you can drag that's right next to this circle, and you can drag out and lengthen or shorten the lines. Same thing on this. You got a blue dot at the end if you need to shorten or want to shorten those level lines. So that way you're not running into your text. That's a way that is a way that you can do that. So section 1, obviously you can go through, pause the video, and be able to see what kinds of things that we put into our green roof. And so these are taken also from the internet as far as what are the elements that go into creating a green roof. And this is going to be what you end up having as kind of like a final kind of scenario. One other thing that I want to go through and discuss within this video as well is our wall section. So we did a wall section back in the last video series under Activity 313. We've been making some changes to the walls in the meantime. So when I go back to the wall section, it's probably changed a little bit. So if you look here, my wall section, I took off the parapet cap. It got extended up higher because of the roof by extrusion that I made. And I'm not seeing those elements in there with the air gap or anything like that. Now I do want to communicate those things. So what I may need to do is go back to the level in which I think it was level 2 framing, and I need to go and look at what I'm actually seeing within this section view. So I'm going to go ahead and select the section view item. Here we go. Here's the blue dashed box that shows you what's being viewed. And I may need to go through and make some changes. So I can actually just slide this up. And so where the line cuts across, that's where the view starts. And then I can go ahead and bring this back. And even then I could make this really thin to where I don't see into the column. I can make this probably about as thin as I want to. You can see it's really small of a view range. But when I go to now, right click and say go to view, you can see I'm bringing back all those elements that I originally did, except for my parapet cap and my soldier course. So if those are gone, we could probably go through and delete those, and we don't need them anymore. So just to keep in mind, the elements, as well as going through and your green roof, kind of, let me go ahead and reset. You may need to go through and adjust this like we did in the section view for the roof. And I'm going to go ahead and add it over here. And I may need to add the elbow and bring it in. I like to usually the levels based on their elevation. If they're above, if they're a higher elevation, I like to have them above then rather than below. So the other thing too is if you want to adjust the crop region. So like here I do have some of the green roof. So if you adjust the crop region out some more, you're going to see a little bit more of that green roof, which is not bad. But I wouldn't label anything for the green roof. It'll just show where that is connecting and creating that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the crop region. So just to note that you may need to go through and make some changes to that wall section based upon some of the editing you're doing to your building. So before your final documentation, I would probably wait to the end to kind of do that, since we've already made some of that. But you may have to move a section view, where the cut plane is, and you may need to go through and maybe even remove or take care of, like for example, deleting these two elements because those are no longer there. So some of those modifications may need to happen. Just keep that in mind as we go forward, and toward the end we start to look at turning in the final project and the details that we're trying to communicate.